And the solar is like the precipice before you start getting into the higher realms of your heart and how you feel, then, what you speak, what you think, and how you connect to everyone around you and everything around you. And with the solar, it's such a big deal for me because I can resonate with, as a child, I felt like I gave so much of my power away and I didn't know how to call it back to me. I didn't know how to claim my power back without being an asshole, to just keep it simple. And I'm learning how to set those boundaries. I'm learning like how to build those bridges, not barriers, to be able to conduct business, to build new relationships, and really just even respect myself more. Because I'm learning with the solar plexus, it's less about how you treat others and more about how you treat yourself, and then allow how you treat yourself to bleed into your relationships harmoniously. And that's something that isn't easy to do. The world doesn't teach us to respect your boundaries. It's okay for you to say no. It's okay for you to say you messed up without shaming yourself. It's okay for you to, yeah, yeah. And that's something that I've been working through. Is like, how do I hold myself accountable without like allowing myself to feel less of myself for the mistakes or decisions that I made that maybe weren't the most informed. And the solar is like the precipice before you start getting into the higher realms of your heart and how you feel, then, what you speak, what you think, and how you connect to everyone around you and everything around you. And with the solar, it's such a big deal for me because I can resonate with, as a child, I felt like I gave so much of my power away and I didn't know how to call it back to me. I didn't know how to claim my power back without being an asshole, to just keep it simple. And I'm learning how to set those boundaries. I'm learning like how to build those bridges, not barriers, to be able to conduct business, to build new relationships, and really just even respect myself more. Because I'm learning with the solar plexus, it's less about how you treat others and more about how you treat yourself, and then allow how you treat yourself to bleed into your relationships harmoniously. And that's something that isn't easy to do. The world doesn't teach us to respect your boundaries. It's okay for you to say no. It's okay for you to say you messed up without shaming yourself. And that's something that I've been working through. Is like, how do I hold myself accountable without like allowing myself to feel less of myself for the mistakes or decisions that I made that maybe weren't the most informed. Because we're all learning on this planet. We don't have all the answers, but through the process of that learning journey, how can we give each other more grace? So I love that even though you said the week was busy and hectic, you're learning how to set those boundaries for next time and like preparing yourself because it will happen again. And now you can build the tools to be like, this is what I can do. This is how I can say it, or this is the energy I want to move in if that situation arises again. So that's a win to me. I love that, man. It's so powerful. Calling your power back to yourself to where you get to use it in a way that's harmonious to where everybody wins in a situation. Because believe it or not, people subconsciously want you to be in your power, but they don't quite know how to communicate that. They don't know how to be like, we want the best version of you. They're looking at what they get from the situation. Yet a lot of times business is one-minded and it's such a transactional exchange to where energetically that's where a lot of this is living. And people really want the best from each other and ourselves. And the more we can be in our power, the more we can serve and be in the highest good. So that's so true. Come on. I'm sipping on some tea today, the mineral magic, which helps us get back into our magic and give minerals back to our bodies, our cells, our organs, our glands. So therefore we can receive everything we need to be our most optimal selves. And a lot of times we're, doing the magic in the world, whether it's business or whether it's life or whether it's financial. And, our question, are we operating at our highest degree of what is in our capabilities before we go doing and being and working in the world? And that's why I love and I'm so grateful for tea, because she reminds me of the power of herbs, and that herbs have this herbal intelligence that can like give you what you need internally so you can perform and be in more of your power when you go out into the world. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Mineral Magic. It's helping me feel very magical right now. When we don't take the time and sit down and actually be present with processing those emotions, then it shows up in how we react. It shows up in our subconscious, and we think that we're operating out of our best when really we're only operating in what's left. So the reason why we set up this foundation of our lower chakras is because that's where a lot of, think about when we're eating food. And when you eat, it goes in through the top, but it comes out the bottom. So imagine that through the experiences, the traumas, the hardships, the struggles, the pain, the pleasure, whatever it is we're feeling, we're consuming that through our eyes. We're consuming that through our nose. We're consuming that through our mouth. We're consuming that through our face, all up in here. And then it's traveling in and down into our body. And now we have the opportunity or the challenge, the opportunity or the obstacle to process those emotions. And when we do process them, then it creates this clear channel that we can learn and love through the loss or the pain or whatever it is. And we get to transmute that energy into something that works for us. Yet, when we don't take the time and sit down and actually be present with processing those emotions, then it shows up in how we react. It shows up in our subconscious, and we think that we're operating out of our best when really we're only operating in what's left. And that is not what we want. What we want to be is in our power, in our purpose, and in our presence. Because the more present we are in our bodies and our minds and our hearts, then the more power we can actually claim back. Because some power that we gave away was our thoughts. Some power that we gave away was our heart. And some power that we gave away was from our bodies. So when we can reclaim and pull back that power, then we can start to really be and serve in our purpose. And that's an alignment of how to be your own superhero. Because nobody's coming to save us, especially from the internal world. It's something that we go through the journey of inside out. 100 years pass, and when he wakes up, everything that he knows is gone. All of his mentors, basically his parents, his friends, his whole tribe, his whole home has been desolated. Man, Aang is such a powerful lesson. He's such a powerful guide because he teaches us that, he's the last living airbender. And for those that don't know what that means, Aang was a part of this tribe, these nomads that lived up on these floating mountains, and they would meditate, they would practice, they would spar, and they would fast. They would go through all these journeys for spiritual enlightenment and spiritual ascension. And somebody got greedy, a world ruler got greedy and wanted to wipe them out. And in the process of wiping them out, one of the air nomads got a message in a dream and was like, we have to protect Aang. He's the next avatar. So we have to send him away. And Aang was like, I don't want to leave. You guys are all my friends. Like, everything I know is here. Why would I leave? And then in the process of him getting upset, he ran off in a storm and then ended up getting trapped in this tsunami and end up basically going into the avatar state to protect himself. 100 years pass, and when he wakes up, everything that he knows is gone. All of his mentors, basically his parents, his friends, his whole tribe, his whole home has been desolated. And it's not until that he finds the guru that he learns that through the loss of his home, through the loss of his tribe, through the loss of his sense of identity, it's not truly a loss because that love still lives inside. So even though on the outside, it feels like it's gone, it looks like it's gone, it's still right inside of you. And just as the first video, it talked about, the longer and the more time we spend relations with people, the more cords that connect. And when that's ripped apart, there's this feeling of, oh, something just feels wrong. When really it's how do we turn those cords outward and turn it back inward? Because when we can connect those cords into ourselves, regardless of the up or through the down, we feel connected to a source that is infinite. And I ain't just talking about our bodies. That's exactly where it starts. And it's almost like we're children and we're learning how to parent ourselves so we can be more free in our inner child. And it's just such a beautiful process that does come with pain, but it also comes with pleasure. When we can learn to find the pleasure in the pain, that's where we can start to enjoy the healing process and it doesn't become some grueling, gregarious thing. We can allow ourselves to fully accept and embrace it. Her, I may not be ready to forgive, yet what I can do from where I am is share compassion. And I came across this podcast episode where a woman was saying that for years, she didn't know how to forgive. And she felt like she lacked a certain level of empathy for forgiveness. And what she did was she went on this ayahuasca journey. And for those that don't know, ayahuasca is a sacred medicine, a sacred plant medicine, where it really takes you into the journey of your own soul through emotion, through spiritual, through physical. And it literally helps you clear out toxins so you can ascend inside of yourself. And throughout that process, she had a very moving and meaningful encounter with her father that had passed. And throughout that process, she received and she learned some lessons that taught her, I may not be ready to forgive, yet what I can do from where I am is share compassion. Forgiving is more like, you give love, extending it beyond someone hurting you or someone harming you or someone leaving you or there being some type of betrayal or loss or whatever the case is. Forgiving is like, I extend my love beyond you and embrace all of what you've done while still respecting my boundaries. Whereas compassion is, I may not be ready to extend that love beyond you yet. And that's okay. What I can do though, is extend compassion. Extending compassion, meaning that I'm going to go to a higher source for this matter, for this situation. I'm going to a higher source for this situation. And I can do my best to understand why you made those decisions without allowing myself to be emotionally compromised. Because a lot of times when it comes to our lack of forgiveness, it's due to we feel hurt, we feel harmed, we feel betrayed, we feel all these different things. And it's like, you wronged me and I didn't deserve the hurt that was caused. And the moment that we're operating in that frequency is us giving our power away. Because that means someone else has the power to hurt you when all of your power is inside of yourself. So that's okay if you're not ready for forgiveness yet. How can we extend compassion? Because there has to be a situation in our lives where compassion was extended to us, whether we were aware of it or not. And when she said that, I was like, wow, I haven't ever looked at it like that, that even if we aren't ready to forgive, we can still extend compassion. And then therefore in that, it can eventually lead to being ready to forgive in our own time. What can compromise our inner peace? And a lot of times that comes from grief. What is grief? Grief is the natural response to the loss of someone or something deeply meaningful to us. It is a profound emotional experience that encompasses a range of feelings from sadness and anger to guilt and despair. It's a natural response to the loss of someone or something that's deeply meaningful to us. So how do we navigate through that grief? Because although it may be a natural experience, we don't have to stay stuck in that experience. And a lot of times in the beginning, it starts off with denial. I'm not hurt, or that didn't mean that much to me, or I didn't really care about that person anyway, or, that job was just this. Like a lot of times we attempt to deny it and push it off and ignore it and avoid it. And in our last class last Wednesday, I talked about how what we avoid leaves a void. And through that void, it ends up bringing more to the space when we're attempting to push it away. So what you resist persists. So the more that we deny something, how can we get through the other layers of it? And in the beginning, you might be upset. You might be like, man, bump this, bump them, bump me, bump you, bump everything about it. You might get upset, and that's okay, because just as Dina said, the more we can feel it, now we're starting to get into the actual healing energy, because the more we ignore it and act like it isn't there, how can you ever do anything about that? Get the moment you allow yourself to feel the experience and whatever comes with that. Some people, it might be anger. Some people, it might be sadness. Some people, it might be a bunch of different other things. But once we can feel it, then we can allow ourselves to start to see it from a new perspective. And when we're getting into that next stage, it might come with a little bargaining, meaning that when you're starting to see it from a new perspective, you might be like, oh, well, what about this? And what about that? And what if this? And what if they left because of this? Or what if that happened because of this? And it's like, all of those things can matter, but they aren't really going to progress you moving forward on your healing journey. Because the reason why people do things outside of you isn't really your business. Come on. It's not our business. Now, it can be as a reflection for us to learn a lesson, but the reason why they do things is not our business and we have no control over it. And if you don't have control over it, then why even worry about it? Why even concern yourself with it? That's where that compassion can come in and we can start to understand, okay, why did you do that? But it's not to control them. It's just to learn what's the deeper lesson in this. And as a result of going through that journey, it might get a little sad because you might be like, damn, whether you're seeing it in yourself or seeing it in whatever the situation or the other someone is, you might be like, wow, that's what you were going through? I thought you hurt me, but this whole time you've been hurting all your life. Wow. It increases our capacity to love. Compassion increases our capacity to love. And when we're able to feel it so we can heal it, then that's when we can start to gradually accept the truth of the situation. And the truth is, nobody really wants to hurt other people when they're not in their right mind, when they're living in their subconscious, when they're filled with parasites, when they're filled with programs that have been literally telling them what to do out of reactionary actions. Then how can you really judge someone that doesn't even know who they are? They don't even know who they are. So how could someone that doesn't know who they are hurt you? They're just operating in a reflection in the program that's just been telling them, be this, do this, obey, consume, XYZ. But in the reality, the moment we know who we are, that's when we can see clearly. And that's when we get to decide what life means for us. That's what really opened my eyes when I graduated high school and all my friends went off to college, and I was looking at myself as stuck in my hometown like, what do I do? I started to ask myself the question, who am I? Who am I? Because for so long I've associated up until that point that who I was who I was around. But once all of those people left, now it was just me. And once it was just me, I was like, what do I do? What do I choose? Who do I like? Who am I? Why am I here? And through asking those questions, I gave myself an opportunity to learn myself on a deeper level with nobody around. And that's a blessing that I pray that we all get to experience in our own time, of being able to sit and be present with yourself, to be able to learn who you are without distraction. Just because I took that time back in 2016, 17, 18 to do that, like, I'm relearning myself now all over again. Who am I? What am I here to do? So it's like, these questions are ones that consistently pop up. And it's when they start popping up again, it's a natural indicator for us that we're about to transform, that we're about to evolve. And these are the questions that are key indicators to let you know that source, the universe, coach, your higher power are about to do something magical in your life. And when you decide to accept and go on the journey of these questions, oh, there's so many blessings on the other side. So many blessings. Come on. And on that path to self-love, it's recognizing to acknowledge our imperfections without judgment, because they're a part of our unique story. So you said fix, and I want us to be careful with the language that we use with ourselves, because we weren't born broken. We weren't born broken. So who's to say we need fixing? Because it's like, you were born exactly how the divine energy wanted you to be, because there's a lesson for you to live. And that's what's transmitting right now, is that a lot of times the lessons aren't for us to use. They're for us to live. And when we can start to embrace those flaws and not turn them into fixes, then we end up finding who we truly are amongst the pieces. And in those pieces, we can what? We can find that inner peace. Because the world is going to constantly point the finger at, well, look at this that isn't right. And look at that isn't right. And you got that type of hair, and you got those type of eyes, and you got that type of bank account, and you got that type of credit. You got that type of car, and you got that type of relationship. They're going to attempt to point at all the pieces and see whatever is insecure, just like Wreck-It Ralph, the virus, the parasites, the program. They attempt to find the insecurity so they can duplicate it, and they can take your fix, what you want to fix, and then turn it into a fear. And the moment we give into fear, we start to lose trust. And when we lose trust, then we lack foundation. And then that's when people start to obey some other structure outside of themselves because they lost their foundation, they lost their footing, they lost their trust over to fear. And we don't need to be fixed. We were made in a divine image. Mirrors are not the reflection. Go to the water. Go to the waters to see who you truly are, because the waters, by any subtle wind movement, by any fish in the water, you're going to see a ripple. So and you can stand in the water 100 years and you're never going to see the same image any second. And the water comes from source. The mirrors were made by man. So when we can go to nature and look at our reflection, we see that it's ever changing. So how can you fix something that's not meant to stay the same? And this isn't me, like, this is me speaking to me as well, because it's like I grew up thinking that things were wrong with me. I grew up questioning my skin color, questioning my hair, questioning my self-image and all of those different things, wondering why I was a skinny kid, wondering why I was so short, wondering why this and that and that and that. And through the questioning process of me fixating on what I wanted to fix, I was blocking the blessing for reframing what the beauty was for me to find. Now I'm learning that my skin is beautiful. When I'm in my power, I start glowing. When I'm in my power, I'm at a perfect height. I ain't too tall, ain't too short. I can ride all the rides. You start to find the blessings. You start to find the blessings in what the lesson is we're meant to live. So I just wanted to, that message beamed through me when you said that, Dina, of fixing, because it's like we get to be, for sure, we get to be intentional with the language we use as we go on the process of self-love and reprogramming ourselves. Come on, because the subconscious is always listening. It's always listening. And just like a child, it listens as it learns, and it learns as it listens. You might tell a child, don't do this, don't do that. But if they see you doing it, what are they going to do? Copy the cat. So that's exactly how our subconscious is operating. And that is why it's so important to be in spaces like this of people and energy that reminds us to be in our higher selves, to address and be accountable for what's right in front of us in our present reality, while also knowing that we are present in multiple dimensions. Come on. And treat ourselves with that kindness. Because the same kindness we would offer to a baby, who's to say that we don't deserve that same grace? People see babies and they're like, oh, it's so precious. A baby might throw something on the ground. Oh, it's just so cute. But the moment we drop something, we looking at it like, what's wrong? How about what's right? When we can start to extend the compassion that we would our mothers, our fathers, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our co-workers, the babies of the world, the children of the world, the more we can extend that compassion to them, we can teach ourselves how to do it. Because sometimes we may not be ready to extend that compassion to ourselves because we still got some forgiving to do. And that's okay. It's part of the journey of going through that grievance. Yet, how can we be what we want to be for ourselves by extending that in the world? Because sometimes if you're not ready to heal inside, we can trick the subconscious. We can go operate how we want to operate in the world to show ourselves how we want to operate in our world. And sometimes you get to find the path that works for you, because self-love is not linear. It's a lifelong journey. And we get to embrace that growth by viewing the challenges, by viewing the obstacles as opportunities. I love breaking the word down beautiful, because it's not about how you look or how you smell or what you're wearing. Beautiful to me is to be you to full. Be you to the fullest capacity that you can be. That's what makes you beautiful. How do you be you to the fullest and embrace that day in and day out? And sometimes it's difficult, because sometimes we have to reshape how we see ourselves in order to be ourselves to the fullest and feel like that's okay. And that's okay. It's okay to not feel okay, yet it's not okay to not feel okay and then to stay in the not feel okay and not decide to do anything with that. And that might sound like a word salad, so we're going to break that down. Healing a wounded heart. The feeling of not feeling okay is a wounded heart, because the heart is what connects our physical bodies to our spiritual selves. So the emotions that we feel are really the bridge. Just as T always shares with us, everything happens in the spiritual first. Your diagnosis, your destiny, your distractions, your decisions, they all exist in the spiritual first. And it's through our emotions that bridge it to the physical. So we get to practice forgiveness by releasing resentment. By releasing resentment. Releasing resentment towards ourselves and others. It's a gift you give yourself. You have something or someone that you love, and when it cracks or it leaves or it breaks or something happens, it shatters, we want to hold on to the pieces so tight. Don't leave. Don't go. No. But the moment we can allow ourselves to just loosen the grip and allow ourselves to lose control for a moment. Because us attempting to be in control is leaving us tense in our shoulders and our heart and our lungs and our whole upper body. And by being tense, is how can we receive? So we get to release our grip. Release our grip on what we feel, on what we want, on what we need. Doesn't mean to ignore it. It's just to release the grip. Yet our lives are here to be shared. And that's what the heart chakra is all about. You release and receive. You release and receive. You release and receive. And then in that, we can cultivate gratitude. So as we're loosening the grip, you may not be ready to let it go all the way, and that's okay. Yet as we're loosening the grip, then we can find memories, and emotions are stored in the memories. And throughout that process, we can learn and ask, man, what did I love about that situation? Why was I holding the grip so tight? What about it meant so much to me? And how can I be thankful for that experience? How can I be thankful for that person? How can I be thankful for what it brought to me for the time that it existed and for the time that it lasted? Instead of me focusing on what's no longer here, how can I be grateful for all the memories that I got to receive with it, receive from it? And just by that simple shift of asking that question of, instead of why did it leave, asking ourselves, man, what did I love while it was here? Not why did it leave? What did I love about why you were here? What did I love about that? What did that leave me? You didn't leave me. Something in our experience, there was something left for me in that. And gratitude is a bridge to get to that place. Because those small gestures create a big impact. And sometimes it just starts with you asking yourself, what is here for me to learn? What is here for me to love in the loss? What can I learn and love in the loss? Not what did I lose? What can I learn and love through the loss? Just like us, there's these branches on a tree, and those branches reach out and they extend to go to the leaves, sending nutrients and nourishment. They extend to the fruit. They extend to the flowers. They extend touching neighboring trees, touching all the animals, touching the sky, touching the carbon dioxide that we exhale as humans. So therefore, the branches can give us that breath of life of oxygen. So even nature is showing us to release and receive, to release and receive. And those branches extend outward to pull in the energy and then release it in life. To pull in the energy and then release it in life. To pull in the energy and then release it in life. So how do we find strength? How do we learn and love through the loss? Because the moment something is taken away, there's a bigger blessing right on the other side of it. We just got to get through the quest of the question to get to the blessing. That sometimes we're going to lose people. Sometimes we're going to lose situations. Sometimes we're going to lose things that meant something to us all of our lives, or within the last decade or the last day of our lives. And through that profound experience, sometimes those cords get cut. Those cords that we attached ourselves to someone else or something else outside of ourselves. And the key is not to close off with that fresh cut cord. It's not to cut the cord and then just be like, oh, I'm not going to love anybody else ever again because I don't want to hurt, or I'm not going to appreciate anything else again because I lost this, or they broke this, or it got stolen. No, I can open myself up to new connections. I can open myself up to new love. I can open myself up to accepting a new experience, because as I give, I receive. As I seed, I receive. And as I release, I increase my capacity to receive the blessings that are meant for me. So how do we find strength? How do we learn and love through the loss? Because the moment something is taken away, there's a bigger blessing right on the other side of it. We just got to get through the quest of the question to get to the blessing. We go through the quest of the question to get to the blessing. Asking myself this week, how can I love myself without expectation? How can I love myself without strings attached to it? How can I love myself without there needing to be a reward on the other side of it? How can I love myself right now, right here, in this moment? And write it down. Write down, when I love myself, what does that feel like? What does that look like? What does that sound like? What am I doing? What am I observing? Is there anybody else around? Paint the experience of what loving yourself looks like. So therefore, when you do go down to increase your light, you can remind yourself of, these are all the things that remind me of how much I'm worthy, how much love I deserve, how much compassion I'm meant to receive. Let me set these intentional reminders from when it is for that dark time. I know the sun is coming up just in a couple hours. That sun is right on the other side of that darkness. So let me reconnect. Let me love on myself. Let me do what I need to do. So therefore, when the sun comes back out, I can shine even brighter, because I embraced the darkness. I didn't run from the darkness this time. Sometimes we get to place obstacles between us and what's not good for us, because the subconscious, it loves repetition. So we constantly go to what's not good for us, but it helps us feel good in the moment, but not feel good lifelong. How can we create obstacles and distance between what we don't need, and more so create less distance between what's actually good for us? And I'm thankful I allowed myself to be present in that energy I didn't distract myself. I didn't bypass. Like I allow myself to feel it so I can heal it. Yeah. And I feel better for it. Come on. And I'm always grateful to be here and be a guide. As I guide myself, I get to share on the journey, and it's more than what I can put into words. Yeah. So thank you to you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to be honest, to be truthful on this painful but purposeful healing journey. Come on.